is either one or the other. Talk about that.
Okay, that's a great point, and I don't think a lot of people understand that. And what you want to try to do is you want to try to keep your body slightly acidic so that it can start to break down foods. But you don't want to go so far that you're starting to create problems in the body. And it's a fact that disease cannot survive in an alkaline environment. So the more alkaline your body is, the less likely you are to have a disease and be sick and be inflamed, right? Our bodies are walking around inflamed, which is very, that's a huge problem right now. And so if you can consume, consume at least 80% alkaline foods, and you can do the research to find out what those foods are and what those drinks are, but if you can consume 80% of your diet to be alkaline, you're going to live a lot healthier life.
Now, obviously, we know what makes you acidic. The drive-thrus.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah, that's not helping. Soda.
Anything that is based on the fast pace of life is probably not going to be healthy for you. You stop off. And listen, I'm one to talk. It happens to me sometimes. I do a lot of work in the tri-state area in New York and New Jersey, and I'm on the Sawmill Parkway, and I got this pang, right? Yeah. And I know right off of exit 27, I can go in and out of McDonald's. Yeah. Okay? This is confession, boys and girls. Okay, this is what happens. I'm just being straight with you.
We're making progress.
See, my lifestyle, no, exactly. So my lifestyle is I'm working at night. Now, we also know we shouldn't eat after what time?
Well, it's not about a time. We shouldn't eat before or after a time. It's really, what are you eating?
Okay.
And why are you eating it?
I see.
Are your actions matching your intentions? Are you planning your trips home based on what fast food restaurants are going to be open, or which ones you like best?
Right.
So many people are. They lack structure. Now, if you know that you usually get tired or you usually get hungry after work, right, then plan ahead and create that healthy structure to have something in the car with you.
Now, the alkaline foods, I would think, would have to be like fruits and vegetables and things like that. But oh, by the way, as you mentioned before, you got to think about that apple you're eating. Mm-hmm. I mean, an apple is not supposed to look like a basketball,
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You don't want an apple on steroids, and that goes back to the pesticides, right? And when you go to a Trader Joe's, oh, by the way, there's no pharmacy in there. You see what I'm saying? And I'm not humping them, but you could see when you break it down, where people shop and get their gas, and they put it in their foods for energy, you see what's going to happen.
Absolutely.
You're set up to fail,
Absolutely.
Almost, right?
Look at the people. You know what? I always walk into a supermarket, or when I go into a town and I'm going to be there for a while, and I go to look for those sources, whether I've looked for them online before I get there, or when I go into that supermarket, I look at the people, one, working there, right? And then look at the people shopping there. That's probably not the first time they've been there. Right. And if they don't look healthy to you, or actually have a lot of energy, or they're not happy, they're not greeting you at the door, well, guess what? They're probably not, that supermarket's probably not doing them a service, right? So it is. When you ever notice when you walk into places like that, those healthy places, people are so nice, they're so upbeat, optimistic.
Absolutely.
Their skin looks awesome, right? Absolutely. They want to almost give you a hug, they don't want to shake your hand.
Absolutely.
There's a reason for that.
When you're dealing with the high school athlete, I remember when I was in high school, at that point, your metabolism is through the roof. So you can go to a Mickey D's and you can get away with it. I bet you there's a lot of information that you're downloading into these people. Well, by the way, if you want to be good in the fourth quarter, or if you want to be if you want to get it done in the second half of a game, then your nutrition is going to carry you across, and that junk food is going to kill you.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely.
Because you're talking about performance. This is all about performance.
Yeah, whether you're an athlete or whether you're an everyday Joe, performance is key. You want to perform at the highest level. And when you wake up in the morning, you want to be recovered and rested and ready to go at it again. And it's a fact that the majority of Americans are waking up exhausted, and they don't know why. And so, when you hit on that the health of our youth, it's based on your family and what you're exposed to, whether you're watching a lot of commercials, whether your family grew up stopping at fast food places as an answer, or they prepared food to go on the road. and they knew how much they needed and who liked what, so that you weren't arguing, oh, I just want to stop there. Or, you know, how many people, when they got that car as a 16-year-old or they got their license, what was the first place they went? Yep. McDonald's, Burger King, right? Because now they had the power to go.
Right.
What was that first thing they bought at the gas station? Soda, right? Candy.
Talk about that. Talk about soda. Talk about soda. We have, now I'm not for this, by the way, because I'm a free enterprise kind of guy, but this Mayor Bloomberg in New York is starting to ban these 2-liter sodas, and I understand this. Heart's in the right spot. I'm not for the, you know, the banning of things, but soda, I mean, I enjoy it too, but it's just horrible for you, especially the stuff that are diet and sugar-free. Believe me, your body's taking a pounding. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to drink soda, I see so many people taking choices. They're choosing diet sodas. If you're going to drink soda, go with the regular soda. The diet's almost worse.
Right.
What I've seen soda do is, it's a fact that if you drink just 8 to 12 ounces of soda, that your calcium channels in your body are going to be blocked for up to 8 hours, which means your immune system's down. You're not creating you know, enough white blood cells, right, to defend and fight off what's going on, not just in the environment, but in your body. And that's any carbonated beverage. There's seltzer out there that'll do the same thing. It'll block the calcium channels. And there's a lot that comes on board with soda, that high fructose corn syrup, right? The amount that people are drinking. And so if I'm not, you know, in total agreement with getting rid of the ability to buy those things. I think, you know, there is free enterprise. We should have the ability to make choices. But, you know, I find that in some countries that the foods and the habits that are the unhealthiest cost the most. And I think we're starting to see that more and more with, look at cigarettes in this country. Right? Cigarettes are, the prices are just climbing. And Canada's had that for a long time. Their cigarettes, you know, cost astronomical prices, and that stops certain people from buying them, you know. And it's those people that are struggling the most, that if you looked at them and their habits, their 4 pillars are not in alignment.
No, they're not.
And that's choices. That's not 100% based on income. You know, that's a scapegoat. That's just making the right choices, surrounding yourself with the right people, taking advantage of opportunities. Do your actions match your intentions?
203-792-4101 if you want to call in and chat with Keith and I. Now, you mentioned choices. Another thing that we do every day, as a matter of fact, I did it before I came here tonight, is microwaving your food. They talk about eating live food, okay? That's why a lot of folks are into juicing, okay? Now, we were discussing before the kale and the Swiss chard and the broccoli. Some people, I have friends, they buy the juicer and that's what they drink in the morning, and they get their 90 and it hatches down, and they're able to dunk a basketball because it's right through the roof because of what they're drinking. But at the same time, if you're trying to keep up with the pace of life and you have a cold piece of chicken, you're popping it in the microwave, and that's killing the live, right? The live aspect of the food.
Yeah.
Talk about that.
Well, unfortunately, it's the source. I mean, we talked about considering the source. If you got to go to the source. And if you know, the fact is that there's been so much done to that chicken or that beef before you even got it, that it's so nutrient depleted, it's not even funny. And then to cook it even at a high heat, right, to make sure it's safe. Right? And then to microwave it again and again and again. I mean, there's so many things that are going through our microwaves and being absorbed into our food from the container it's in. It's not even funny, it's not healthy at all. So you're right. You gotta eat closer to the earth. Eat as, you know, get it as close to being picked as possible, and you're going to be healthier for it.
We mentioned before about a lot of people are taking prescription drugs. I'm on a few myself. Now, what does that do to your organs? Your organs, like the liver. The liver, God gave you the liver to do what? To cleanse out, to get rid of the toxins, okay? Your medicine is toxic, okay? Let's talk about how important it is. Should we get involved in cleanses as we would pull our car in and get oil changes during the year? Should people think about doing that for their bodies?
Absolutely. Cleansing is a very, very healthy thing to do. especially when we're constantly bombarded with the amount of toxicity that we have in our environments. There's almost no way to get around it. I mean, you sleep in a bed that's got all kinds of flame retardant. We send our kids to school in school buses that are loaded with fumes. You ever step on a school bus?
Right, it's terrible.
You can
It's
smell
terrible.
it. A new car, very, very toxic. Our work environment, poorly filtered air, the water we drink, the water we bathe in, with the amount of chlorine that's in the water. There's no way, if you're living in this country, it's very, very difficult to live a zero toxin life. And our body was built to be able to deal with it. We have those natural cleansing organs like our kidneys and our liver, and our whole system of the lymphatic system, and how that'll help transport toxins out of the body. But the problem is we're bombarded with so many of them. You have to picture the body as a big bucket, okay? And the younger you are, the less toxins you're exposed to, because you're hopefully making a little bit healthier choices. Your body's getting rid of things quicker. Your organs aren't as old, right? So that bucket gets emptied quicker, right? But as you get older, our ability to naturally cleanse ourselves, and as our toxicity levels rise and rise and rise, we're exposed to more and more, right, because the choices we make, well, the bucket fills up. And what you begin to see is the closer that bucket gets to the top, right, that's when you start to see problems show up. Right. That's when disease starts to show up. Now, what's happening with Americans is the bucket's overflowing in a big way.
Right.
And it's showing up on the outside. And obesity, I believe I just saw a report that obesity is one of the leading reversible causes of death now in America. And these children are the first generation of children that won't outlive their parents. That's scary.
I talk to teachers, and they can't keep these kids awake the second half of school. Because they come on sugar highs, right? They give them Captain Crunch, with crunch berries, by the way, right? And they give them OJ, correct?
Yeah.
And then they peak at about 10 o'clock, they crash, the food that they're getting at the school's a nightmare, and the last 2.5 hours, they can't do anything with these kids.
And what do they call that? Oh, that must be an attention problem.
Yeah, attention deficit disorder.
Right.
You got to go on another prescription drugs. But look what they did. They set the kid up to fail.
Right.
Right?
And that's where, we're getting our butts kicked by other countries now academically. It all starts with those pillars. From the day you're born, you need to address those 4 pillars and live by it. And make sure that you live in moderation. No one's a saint.
Right.
But we got to live in moderation. That's so, so important. And I'm glad you brought up the children, because that's where we've been focusing. And not just on the children, but I have access to a training session. An average training session lasts between 45 minutes and 60 minutes to really empower that child to make their own choices. And that's so key. Right. Is we're taking that ability, and we're telling them that they don't deserve those things. They can't make their own choices. They're not responsible enough. So there's another thing, we're setting our children up to fail. So we try to empower them in that short amount of time, and we address the body, mind, and soul of an individual, no matter how old they are.
Right.
And
exactly.
And once you create that empowerment, they can make better choices for themselves. And then what happens is the parents start to see the change that they see in their child. They start to enjoy their child a little bit more. Everyone's relationship goes up and improves, and you see their grades improve. And you'll get reports back from their teachers that they're just doing better things, right? They're actually leading instead of following or falling asleep. And so we're able to affect that child that then leads into affecting the family. And it actually will change that whole structure of the family, because before that, they were just running around.
Right.
They didn't really see each other. That conversation at the dinner table is not there anymore. That soul part, that connection isn't there.
Right.
And so everyone's off in their own direction, and we kind of tie that all together. And that's a beautiful thing. And that's why I wake up every morning. That's what I remain passionate about, is empowering youth athletes and then having to see that change in their family structure.
What is your biggest challenge? Is it out of the 4 pillars, by and large? What is the biggest challenge? Any pillar over the next, or is it 4 to get what?
Oh, yeah.
Lay it on me.
Nutrition, by far, one of the most misunderstood pillars there is. And it's because of education. I mean, even take somebody like me with a sports medicine background. Was I educated properly? You know, when I got exposed to a company like Isogenics, my education, I did a 180. And was I skeptical? Yeah, I should be. You know, there's a lot of companies out there. There's a lot of things being thrown at you every day, right? And especially about cleansing. You know, and I was very skeptical. And once doing the research, I dug deep, and I realized that what you're taught in school and what most professionals will teach you is that it's a calories in versus calories out game. We kind of touched on that before, and it really isn't. You know, there's a difference between 1,000 calories of donuts and 1,000 calories of broccoli. Right. A calorie is just a unit of heat, a unit of measurement. Right. The body doesn't know what a calorie is. So why are we focused so much on calories and not on nutrient density?
I see.
What is that food going to give me if I'm getting it from a reliable source? But even if I'm not, what's it going to give me? And if you're eating something that's great for you and very nutrient dense, well, eat more of it, right? You don't have to worry about the calories so much. And so we really have that struggle of teaching about nutrient density. And once we can teach that youth athlete or that child, they take it home, and because their parents know nothing of that, their solution for weight loss and health is, well, let's restrict calories, let's restrict the body, let's drain the body. And what happens when the body is drained? Where's it going to get energy from? What's it going to convert into energy? Muscle, right? And the lower muscle you have, the lower your ability is to burn fat.
What actually fills us then? We think it's carbohydrates, but it's the nutrition that fills us. If we're getting the 90 essentials, you mentioned that before, that's what gives us the feeling of being satisfied?
Yeah, and I think we're programmed to respond to our stomachs, right? And that's what really changed everything for me. When I knew that I couldn't go out there and get my 90 essentials by picking all these different food groups and eating from a variety every single meal. Now, I'm not telling you that you should be drinking your nutrition all day, right? But you do have to mix in some healthy things that you go out and you buy at the supermarket or you get on your farm and you know where they come from, right? As safe as possible. But when I started to realize, here I was, 6'3", 2 knee surgeries in, and I'm over 260 pounds. Not a good place. Black cloud over me, faking it all day, right? And so what I was able to find is that it's about satisfaction, right? Satisfy the body, give it everything it needs, and not about in here. It's not about what's in my stomach and how full my stomach is. Well, that's what I used to do. Fill it up, fill it up. Well, that's a starvation model. Your body's going, wow, you're eating a lot of food every time we eat. There must be a shortage, right? Instead of eating those smaller meals, more nutrient-dense meals. You'll notice that the biggest thing that people talk about when you're telling them to shop organic is, man, it's too expensive, I can't live that way. Because they think they have to buy the same amount of food. And what happens when you eat organic, right, and you make those better choices, right, you eat a more alkaline diet, you stay away from those white devils, the starches, you'll notice that when you're eating organic, you can eat a lot less because your body gets what it needs quicker, and it's not about how full your stomach is. Huge point, and that's one of the ones we struggle with.
The whites kill me. I'm an Italian, I love my pasta. I'm being straight. Yeah. I mean, even the wheat pasta, you can go to wheat pasta, and you know what? I like going to get a bagel you gotta understand I've done everything wrong, okay? But the problem is, what you mentioned, it's about the habits and the choices. I enjoy my cup of coffee, but I never realized what it's doing to me. Right. It's dehydrating you in that way. I would have thought that you'd have to drink 4 or 5 cups of coffee before it did something detrimental to you. But what you're saying is no. It's like what you mentioned about the soda, right? The 12, that does something, it blocks, you mentioned the calcium, right? That's 1 glass of soda. Right. See, that's what freaks me out. You mentioned before, when you got into your company and you learned the facts, it's against everything you've been taught. Why? Because the mass media is pushing these things, essentially, to make sure that the Merck pharmaceutical stock is still high. And the reason why it's still high, because they're selling prescriptions. That's why stocks stay high.
Absolutely.
It has nothing to do with healing. It has nothing to do with health. It has just with dispensing more medication, right?
Absolutely, and it's the game, you know. And if you know, we're not taught to feed into the big companies, the ones that are funding everything in our country, well, then they can't make any money. And if the majority's not doing it, they can't make any money. And it's really not a healthcare system. We have to turn to preventative measures and holistic health and address the 4 pillars, address the body, mind, and soul. An overall feeling of wellness is so much more important now. And we're really lost as a society. And it's showing up. You know, it's showing up in the choices that everyone makes. It's showing up, you know, internationally and where we're viewed, where we used to be viewed as, you know, this strong, powerful country and very intelligent and the land of opportunity. And what's happening is when you look at our people as a society is, I don't see that at all. You know, I see overweight, lazy, confused people walking around in a fog. And it all comes back to those pillars.
What countries are getting it done? I mean, obviously we're doing something wrong. So are there countries out there that the people are healthier and they're leaner, and how about that?
Absolutely. I mean, we see those countries that are, you know, there's people that are making healthier choices. They're living longer because of what they're exposed to more often. They're living that, you know, 80% of their diet is more healthier choices. You know, there's countries like France. You know, they have less heart disease, and they're getting exposed more to that skin of the grape, where they're getting that resveratrol that takes care of their heart, and they're tending to not have the heart disease that we have. And then there's countries like New Zealand who don't have the pesticide problem. And you go to a country like that and you see the people. You know, if I was
in really good shape too.
Yeah, oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That they don't seem to struggle. They don't seem to struggle. You know what it is? It's not that you have a weight problem, but the problem is you're here one day and then you lose it, and then 3 months later you have the same problem. Like you mentioned, it's about the choice over time. We're trying to find the quick fix, and it really doesn't exist, does it?
And we're trying to do it ourselves. And you really got to surround yourself with those 5 people, even more if you can.
Right.
But if you're struggling, look at the people you hang around with the most. They're struggling too. And until you make that choice, you know, it's almost more important to cleanse the people around you in your environment than it is your body. It's got to happen together.
Let's talk very quickly. We got 5 more minutes. This has been awesome. You mentioned your wake-up call happened when you were around 260. Well, how much do you weigh now?
I am 212 on average, on an average day.
Okay.
And I'm still not where I want to be.
Okay. So, but you dropped, when I went to school, that's what, 40, 50, 50, 48 pounds?
Yeah.
Tell me about how many years it took you to get to that. Did you have an instant kind of result? I mean, 6 months, or how long did it take?
Well, that's a great question. Because of the company I'm with, and because of the systems they use, and the cleansing that they involve, and the science that's behind it, right? I mean, the formulator is a genius. Because of that, I was able to drop over 50 pounds in 3 months and 6 inches on my waist, where that was incredible to me. You know, the last time I was wearing a 34 waist, my mom was buying pants for me.
I understand.
So that impacted my life, and that woke me up. And when I could do that in 3 months, and everyone around me in my profession was saying, that's not healthy, that's not healthy. I said, well, what was more healthy? Walking around at 263 pounds, you know, with a 40-inch going on 42-inch waist?
Right.
Or walking around at 210, which is where I got down to, you know, without a lot of lean muscle mass. Not my body wasn't lean. I didn't feel good, right? Before, and now now I feel amazing. My knees feel awesome for the first time in my life.
Awesome.
I'm performing at a higher level. I have more to give. You know, that's what's important to me.
And understanding about you know, the shakes and stuff, but you probably coupled that with exercise too, correct?
That wasn't my focus. Like I said before, it's got to be 80% nutrition and 20% fitness.
Oh, okay.
Because think about it. Even if you do work out, that's for such a short period of your day, right?
I see.
Even if you're doing it right, you're getting in 30 to 45 minutes of a workout. Even if that's 4 to 5 times a week, right? It's such a small portion of your life. What takes up more of your life? The choices you make and the food you eat and the people you're around, and those 4 pillars, right? They all come into play.
80-20, boys and girls.
80-20 if you want to see a change. And then from there, base it on your goals.
Let me tell you something. I'm really amazed because we don't talk anymore. You know, we were talking about the soul, about people talking, because today's younger kids, by the way, this isn't a workout.
It's not communication.
Right, this isn't communication, and this doesn't count for a workout. Like when your parents ask you, how'd you do on that Spanish test? You're not allowed to do this. You know, check your text, Ma. You know,
right.
There's very little conversation that's going on, but when you talk, that releases something, doesn't it? It
Absolutely.
releases what's going on in your mind, in your body, and it gets the stuff off your chest, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And for men, that feel-good chemical is dopamine,
Yes.
natural problem solving, right?
Right.
And then for women, it's serotonin, and that's talking. That's true connection. You know, and that's the key. It's not really about a communication. It's about connection, and we're not connecting anymore. We're more connected, right, to technology and instant gratification.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But we're not connecting as a society, and I think that's a huge problem, and we can start there if you want to make a difference.
Well, this has been buckets and buckets and buckets of fun. I've learned a lot. I hope you guys have too. In the last minute, Keith, look into those cameras and let's go over the 4 pillars again, and let's drive home the 80-20, and then we'll say goodnight.
Absolutely. What we spoke about tonight, we went over the 4 pillars of health, and you know that starts with great nutrition, and talk about nutrient density, not calories in, calories out. We spoke about exercise and how well our body uses oxygen for fuel, and hydration, half your body weight in ounces every day. Make it a habit. And then stress relief, surrounding yourself with better people, better environment. You are the sum of the 5 people you hang around with most. Remember that, write it down.
Stop wearing us out.
And rest and recovery. That 6 to 8 hours of sleep, that meditation time, that personal development is huge. And you concentrate on those 4 pillars of health, you're gonna see that aging process slow down. You're gonna start to address more body, mind, and soul, and just be a better version of you.
Great, great stuff. How much time we got, camera person? We got 35 seconds. Okay, it's been fun. This has been so much. You know, I hope you guys have listened to this and incorporate it. Okay, public access. We're here to teach you. Okay, really think about it, because we all can. You know, especially those 5 people. Start firing people today. Okay,
right.
I want you to go home and I want you to call your friend that's been bumming you out for 10 years and said, I've had enough. Okay, and you can keep your potato chips because I'm eating a small organic apple right now, right? We've had buckets of fun. Good night.
Goodbye.